something for you.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Quad Damage Podcast. I'm Robert, one of your hosts, and joining me as usual is Midnight Medium.
What up?
And Deadforge.
How's it going?
Returning to join us today is the developer of one of the literal moistest boomer shooters you'll ever play. Now with a second episode out, Incision's SmoothBrainDev. Welcome aboard. Yay.
How's it going? I'm pretty sure that I was not here the last time that you were on.
No, you weren't.
See, now's your opportunity to ask all the Incision-related questions you wanted. But for those of you at home, don't forget to stay tuned for our usual reoccurring features such as our rapid-fire round and guest questions. So, without further ado, Mr. Deadforge.
Yes, and I actually brought something a little different today. For just a little taste. It's some bourbon.
Nice.
Aren't you a classy motherfucker?
Yeah. So, get a little bit of that.
Rhythms.
While we're at it, might as well just crack this open too, just for the hell of it, right?
I'm gonna watch you eat a meal too.
Yeah,
Hold on,
man. Fry up a steak.
And of course, the cigar. Are you ready for the moment we've all been waiting for?
For a while.
Let's
Yes,
get it.
that's moving. I forgot. Oh my god. I swear to god, the lag just writes the jokes when we do that intro all of the time. Yeah, we'll see how the end one goes. Nice. So, Mr. SmoothBrainDev, episode 2. Episode 2 is now out, of course, and I believe you've revamped episode 1, which we'll get to afterwards. But how is episode 2 going? The reception of it, was it difficult to make as well?
It was difficult to make, and the reception has been positive. People say that the quality of the game has constantly gotten better and better, and I agree on that. It's kind of insane. It went from being kind of like Quake 2.5 to its own thing completely. I was constantly taking small risks with the design, and I think they've been paying off. The raising difficulty, and there's the parrying system for the bosses and everything. It's I'm still kind of shocked that everything worked out.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played through it as you've known. I haven't played through episode 2 yet, precisely because I want that beginning to end experience. I'm aware that you're working on episode 3 right now. And what changes have you made, though, to episode 1? You mentioned to me that you'd gone back and tweaked some things.
Oh no, not yet. I haven't done that yet. But it's in the plans. I've been working on a new difficulty setting that adds more enemies to the episodes. And
It doesn't have enough.
Yeah,
It's too easy. That's the problem.
How do you make the game harder and more fun at the same time? It's you add more enemies and more ammo and stuff, and I've been adding these buffed versions of basic enemies to the levels as well, to the hardest setting. So they will be in episode 3 on all settings as well, because episode 3 is a shorter one, so it has to be really hard as well.
Yeah. But episode 3, I'm sure, is going to be all killer and no filler. If that's the case, then if you're doing something shorter, I believe Sam did something with Turbo Overkill as well. The 3rd episode was released in 2 parts because one part was shorter. I still can't get past that damn boss. Seriously, the end of episode 1. Medium, I know Deadforge, you haven't got around to playing it yet, but Medium, I don't know if If you know at the end of episode 1, there's like this. I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's a boss, and I'm absolutely shit at getting past it. I've tried literally 15 times. It's just, I'll get there, man. I'll get there. But,
It's crazy. I feel like I played that game for like several days. I think it's like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I haven't died much at all, which
Yeah.
I've been surprised by because I was really bad at the demo. I thought the game was like just not my speed until I realized that I was playing it wrong. So once I started playing it for real, 5 hours passed, and I'm like, this is the longest fucking episode. I am still in episode 1, and I feel like I played like an indie game already. Like, I guess I'm not getting through this anytime soon, so I had to table it for a little bit. But yeah, I still didn't hit that boss, but it seemed easier than I remembered or thought it expected it to be.
Isn't it made by one guy as well?
Mm-hmm.
Or some like
Turbo
really
Overkill?
small team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
it
one
was,
developer.
Sam, what the hell? He's been on here before with us as well. It was him, and I believe that there was some additional people that were brought on to help out. But yeah, it's like yourself. It's pretty much a one-man crew.
Nice.
Isn't
I
that-
haven't played
isn't
it.
that-
Yeah. Like
you're missing out. Wow, you're missing out. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. Like I haven't even played Cultic that much, like 3 levels. Because like when I think I told this in the last interview, but like when I made Incision, I kind of avoided other boomer shooters, so I wouldn't take too much inspiration from the games. So when Incision is done, I will be playing a lot of boomer shooters again. I have like a huge backlog.
There's so many
Have
I
you-
haven't
have you
played as
made-
well.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you guys make a list? I don't mean like your wish list. Do you have like a literal list saying this is what I want to play, or do you just kind of go with the
No.
flow?
I do have a list in my phone of like a bunch of games I want to buy, from boomer shooters to other things like that I need to play just to try to remind myself. But I also try my best to add as many of them as I can to my wish list on Steam as well.
Yeah.
There's so many, and then I find a new one. I'm like, oh, this is really cool, but like I also need to go back and play this. It's like I just recently got I Am Your Beast, but like I needed to get Turbo Overkill, and I was just thinking about that like while I was playing the game, and I was like, oh, I need to play Turbo Overkill, but I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I played only played Rot, and that was like peak. I didn't want to even play other boomer shooters after that for a while. Like, it's just so good.
Now, were
Oh,
you
yeah.
abstaining from boomer shooters so you wouldn't get like too much cross pollination? Like,
Yeah.
pick too
Yeah,
many
so
of their
I wouldn't
ideas?
copy
Yeah,
other.
okay.
Yeah.
fair enough.
I'm sure this question was asked like in the previous interview. I've watched that one, but I can't remember every detail. But was Silent Hill any inspiration at all visually for the game?
Oh yeah. I grew up playing a lot of horror games, especially Silent Hill. And I was working on a Silent Hill fan game like 10 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and it didn't go anywhere. I was really young, and I was trying to do it in Doom 3 engine.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah. But I
Let's see that.
learned a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, I visually it looks a lot like the Hell dimension in Silent Hill,
Mm.
and a lot of Incision. So yeah, that was like the first thing. The first time I ever saw a trailer, I was like, that looks like a lot like that Silent Hill kind of vibe going on, which was probably one of the first things that really got me interested in it.
And
For
it's
sure.
kinda-
I still need to check it out. So
So when I was actually making those first levels, I didn't take inspiration from anything. So at one point, I realized like this is so much like Silent Hill. There are so many like subconscious elements taken. How do you say
Right,
it?
oh yeah, which I mean that happens with everything. I mean, some people will sit there and like make 2 entirely different games. Like there's been many accounts of like multiple development studios make this game, and then somehow both games are very similar because like both studios were on a similar wavelength with their inspirations of whatever it was, and they're like, this game had to know about the other game or vice versa, and they're like, no, we had no idea. Like we both had different times, all this stuff. Like yeah. So yeah, there's always that subconscious inspiration of like your interests and things, maybe what you're playing at the time and so on.
Yeah,
Which is why it's good to not play a bunch of boomer shooters while you're making your game, I guess.
yeah, like
I've never played Silent Hill. Never
Really?
in my life have I played. I think I started one and I played it for like 15 minutes back on my PlayStation 3 or something like that. So when I first played Incision, I was like, holy shit, man, this is, very much distinctive from everything else that was on there. The thing that it reminded me most of at that time was the more supernatural elements of Dusk. You know, because Dusk can be very kind of red and meaty. It reminded me a lot of that. But the gameplay I felt was very kind of Quake-like with Incision, and I really struggled because of the save system, which obviously we discussed the save system in the last one. But once you get past that, you start seeing it as a bonus. It's the challenge against yourself to get through it. And if you are able to get through it, it's like, yeah, you're proud of yourself. The satisfaction that you get for beating the mission is so much better than if
how is the save system functioning? Like, how does that work? I haven't really.
Of course, you didn't do the last episode. Yeah.
I was in that episode, but I mean, if you just want to give me the quick rundowns, it's a long story.
Basically, there's no saving except between levels, so there's no quick saving of checkpoints. But you
it's a beginning to end kind of thing.
Yeah, like each level you have to commit, and there's one-ups that save you from like a little hit. You get 75 health back when you're supposed to die if you have a one-up, and that's because like a lot of the stuff that I made for the game, I kind of forgot to implement saving for them, and I was so far into episode 1 at that point, so it just felt like I'd have to rework so much to make save system for the game.
Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting how things like that come from just like, you know, an accident or developmental, you know, things. It's unintentional, but it probably adds like a pretty unique difficulty to your game that most boomer shooters don't have. Most games releasing in the indie shooter space don't have, because most of them have either manual saving or like a lot of checkpoints.
And I personally don't like quick saves, because there's no point in like making the game difficult if you can save and load at any point.
True. That's always been a big like thing with immersive sims, which are not only usually quite difficult, but also full of choice and consequence. So, you know, a lot of people save before an important choice. I mean, RPGs do that too, and then like you load back because that's not what you wanted or something.
Yeah.
I like a game. Even though I don't mind that at all. I do like a game that says, you know what, you just have to deal with it. You know, keep going.
Exactly. Like I'm actually playing Hitman series right now, and I love playing it without saving me in the middle of the mission. So if I fuck up, I just have to live with it.
You just have to, you have to live with it. Yeah.
It's way more fun that way.
You have to get good.
I actually think the Hitman series actually would be better with just a permanent implementation of no manual saving like that, no auto saves, no checkpoints, because it would, you know, add more to that immersive layer.
Yeah,
make it more realistic, I guess.
Maybe like checkpoint when you complete one mission, like one objective,
right?
Like
and then go to the next one.
Yeah, you kill a target, but if you do it like messily, you still have to live with it, even if it saves.
How would those saves work in those new Hitman games? Because I know the old ones, like Contracts, you had like maybe 3 saves a level or something like that, and that was kind of how they balanced that.
I'm pretty sure the newer ones you can just save as much as you want. Sure.
Infinite saves.
Yeah, because I have the Hitman, the first one, like the complete collection, whatever, the first game, and it's all like it's infinite saves as much as you want.
That's new.
Just a funny side note with Hitman. So Jean-Claude Van Damme is now in Hitman. I believe he's one of the targets that are in there. And then as soon as I see this commercial on my Facebook earlier today, oh, Van Damme's in Hitman or something. A few hours later, I get this friend request, and guess who it's from? Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like, yeah,
fake account.
Of course, Van Damme sent me a friend request. Of course, yes. made me laugh though. I know they removed.
Well, they had Gary Busey as like one of those like celebrity contracts at one point. They've had a bunch of celebrities do those like limited time contracts.
Yeah,
he was going to be in it, and they cut him because of recent issues in regards to
with allegations and different things going on in his life. Yeah.
My missus loves Hitman. She loves those she loves Sims as well. When she sees me play something like Incision, she's like, "Nah, I'm good. It's too much game for me." You know.
Since we kind of got in there briefly, I wanted to touch on. So I don't think any of us here have probably played Indiana Jones, minus Robert down there.
I
But
haven't played it. My missus has
Oh.
played it. She's
Okay,
right
okay,
next
okay.
to me right now, and she spent
Mhm.
probably about 15 hours. You already know my points of view on it. That they're not in
Yeah,
line
yeah,
with what other people think of it. I
Yeah.
think so far, from what I've seen, it's a very
Yeah.
boring game.
Mm.
I
I
can
think so.
understand
Here's an
why
interesting
people like it.
perspective on that, though. I think so. I haven't played it, right? But I kind of know what I'm getting into just because of. I mean, I played the Wolfenstein games. I played Butcher Bay, Darkness, and stuff like that. Like it, and from what I've seen, it is very, very much so that kind of game. Except probably more puzzles because Indiana Jones. But
It is,
I'd
yeah,
say it
but there's
probably
nothing-
would seem like a more boring game coming from the perspective of a viewer. So like, I wonder if you yourself go and like get your hands on it and actually start playing it, how you would feel. I'm curious.
I feel differently. I think it's because I'm simply used to faster paced games. The idea of
Maybe.
exploring and just punching people or something, it's just not fast paced enough with me. But I was
That's
watching
possible,
her
yeah.
play it earlier on. I was trying to break down why I didn't like it. And then the only thing I could really come up with was that I really can't see there's any background music. So it's like just silent, as you're going around. There are no supernatural elements to it so far that I've seen. It's just a mystery that Indiana Jones is involved in. And there are no big set pieces that I've seen. There's no car chases or anything like that. Things that you associate with the Indiana brand, So I can appreciate that it's a great game. It's obviously
Yeah.
not for me. There's something a little more balls
Yeah.
to the wall. She loves
But
it.
see, you're
Absolutely.
also not the immersive sim type or the slower paced shooter type. So like it's not a game for someone like yourself, whereas because you come from an interesting like background of you went from all of our conversations being someone who really focused on hack and slash being like your main thing, God of Wars and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
back in the PlayStation 3 era.
Yeah, and then you basically didn't play games for a long time, and then when you started getting back into games, you decided you got into shooters for the first time, or for the first time like hardcore, I guess.
Yeah, 2016, Titanfall 2,
Yeah.
Shadow Warrior 2, and Doom
Yeah.
were released in the same year. And
Yeah,
after that, I got changed. And it's because I played those particular games
Mhm.
and not other games that led me to the boomer shooter scene. And
right.
that's why if you have a look at all my wish list, it's full of games like
Yeah.
Turbo Overkill and like Incision and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But going back to Incision, what is it about episode 3 that why is it shorter than the others? Is this a conscious decision, or are you just kind of reaching the end of the storyline that it is that you're wanting to take?
Well, there are many reasons for it. One of them is that the story wasn't planned too well during the development. So basically, I'm not going to spoil too much, but episode 2 ends in a way that the game could end there. But I have always promised people 3 episodes. I like the 3 episode idea because Duke Nukems and all of those have had 3 episodes. So
Well,
I
we're
had
used to it. Yeah.
yeah. So the other reason is that I have to admit that I'm kind of running out of ideas what to add to the game. The weapon loadout is now full, so I can't really add any more weapons to it. And I, the composer, is also kind of like feeling that the project has taken a long time, and maybe we should like start moving on and making something different. And I agree. I've been actually prototyping something different in the background, but yes. I feel really good making this 3rd episode though, because like it's 3 episodes and 2 bosses, so I can just make something really crazy, something that ends with a real bang, and make some crazy hard bosses, and like really just fill levels with enemies and explosions and stuff. So
Because the bosses aren't crazy enough as they are.
I don't know.
That's the common complaint I hear about
always want to,
Incision.
like,
The
one-up.
game's too easy. There's not enough going on.
As a developer, I always feel that. I'm kind of the guy who likes to make systems, so I always think like, what kind of boss can I make next, like something unique. And one of the bosses, not like spoiling what it is, but I've been wanting to make an enemy or boss that feels like a deathmatch bot, like an enemy that bunny hops around and uses weapons like you and feels a bit smarter,
Oh, right.
can take your ammo and health pickups and stuff like that.
Dark
Right.
Souls.
When you
fandom.
said that, I pictured Jacob at the end of Dusk.
Yeah,
And how he moves around, which is
Yeah, because-
basically, you know, it's,
that's
doesn't
where the
spend
idea
half the
came
time in
from.
the air.
But-
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Like because when I was playing Dusk and I fought with Jacob, I felt like, yeah, this is a good idea, but it's just an enemy that's rotating on an axis, like jumping around
Yeah.
you and doing nothing else. So I want to make something that feels more like a deathmatch boss, like small deathmatch level and
Yeah.
one or two dudes jumping around.
Yeah. Why did you? Sorry, gentlemen, to keep talking over you if you want to get some questions in, but obviously I'm a fan of Incision, so my mind kind of runs a lot of questions going through its head that I'm trying to get out and list. But Zlimbratsky, when he appeared on our show, he said that the movement in the air is the same as it is on the ground, which is
Yep.
why you can do this in the air. Is that true?
Yeah. There's a story behind that. Basically, when I was making the first two alpha versions on each IO, I felt that the game was like super hard. So there wasn't like I couldn't allow anything that felt like a random death. Everything that player did had to feel like a skill thing. So when you die, it's literally a skill issue. so like when you jump, there's no actual physics going on. You're just basically running in the air, and so you have like full control. If you fuck up, it's not the gravity's fault; it's your fault.
Yeah. It takes a while
Wow.
to get used to that kind of movement because you're used to kind of having your highs and then your lows when you're jumping and that sort of thing.
I feel like there's another game that I've played that's similar to that, where it's like the gameplay feels exactly the same in the air. I feel like it was another indie shooter, and I can't put my mind or place my hand on it, but I feel like there was something else I played similar to that, and it's definitely a different feeling than your typical shooter when
Like,
they
I
get to
think-
the
Well, I'm sure if any of the viewers that are watching this can figure out what that is, they can stick it in the
Yeah.
comments down below. Yeah.
Mm.
I have something for you.
Want to support your favorite Boomer Shooter podcast? Well, tough luck, because we're all you've got. Visit the Quad Damage affiliate store for the most bangin', most boomin', most please give us your money stores on the internet. Well, Amazon anyway. Only available in the US because we're too lazy to set it up for any other country.
As viewers at home will know, this is where part of the show where we ask our guest 10 random questions, and one of them is a trick question, and they have, it used to be a minute, now it feels like it's an hour, but a shortish amount of time to be able to to answer
roughly around a minute or so for you to answer 10 questions as quickly as possible. Tangents are okay, but which they tend to happen. All right, let's start off. Question number 1. If there are 100 people, how many would be more patient than you?
Everyone.
Now 100.
99 problems.
All right.
All 100. I don't have a patience. I don't have patience for stuff.
Yeah.
All right. What are the top 3 I can't talk. What are the top 3 characteristics you feel are important for a person?
Kindness, creativity, maybe. I don't know. That's really hard to answer, actually.
You don't have to
Okay.
stick with a minute
Oh,
if you
that's
need
good.
a little time, or we can move on.
It's really hard to say. I don't have like yeah, I'd say it's like kindness and openness, maybe. Like somebody who I can talk to about ideas and creative stuff. Like if somebody's just like a wall when I talk to them about ideas and expect them to like
Right.
tell me about the ideas, that's not gonna work.
Mhm.
Fair enough. What type of things do you procrastinate the most on?
Everything again. Like I think everything that I do is kind of like procrastination, a result of procrastination.
Fair enough. What's the best comeback you've ever heard?
Oh man, I don't know. There's the language barrier problem too, so I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I can't really answer that right now. Too much pressure.
What about Kim Kardashian?
Fair enough. All right. What do you find attractive that others might find unusual?
I don't know. Everything that I'm trying to think of kind of comes back to these creative ideas, and kind of makes me think of my last workplace where I was actually working on Incision on the like sometimes off times, and there were people who would like judge me or come question me like, is it okay to make a game like that? That's always made me feel like an outsider. So that I think that answers the question a little bit. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, it works for me. It works for me.
Yeah.
What obscure interests do you have?
What would it be? I'm kind of two-dimensional. I like making games, and that's really it.
I mean, depending on who you are, that's pretty obscure.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for it. Thankful for your lack of patience. It means we get episode 3 faster.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to remember that I procrastinate on everything anyway.
Procrastination is the other one.
It's okay. You can stop procrastinating tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Just have no patience for your own procrastination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you choose to be famous for something, what would it be?
Can you repeat that?
If you could choose to be famous for something, what would it be?
The funny thing is, now that I think of it, I don't think I want to be famous for my games. I just want to make games and people enjoy them, but I don't want to be like a celebrity. So maybe I just want to create something that, well, I made a horseshoe. How do you say it? I think I would still want to be famous for something that makes people happy.
Yeah.
So maybe it is the game, and then
yeah,
maybe it is. You know,
Incision makes people happy, and of the boomer shooter scene, it's perhaps one of the more recognizable games. So it could be argued that, to a degree, you are a bit of a minor celebrity within the actual boomer shooter society.
Society. Yeah, there you go.
It makes it sound like something
moving up in the
secret,
world.
you know, we got a
Moving up in the
handshake.
world.
We do it. Yeah,
The Boomer
you know,
Shooter
the
Society.
the
Oh yeah.
community. Like, I like it on Reddit. Sorry to hijack your thinking, but just this side thinking. I got messaged on Reddit. You guys should speak to the Incision dev. That game is awesome. And SmoothBrain knows this. I told him. And so I got back saying, we already have, and he's coming back on the show. So people are asking about you. That means they know your name. That means there's a degree of celebrity going on there. Random people on the internet are talking about you.
I'm happy with that. But like when people become big celebrities, it feels like people start invading your life a bit too much. Like thinking too much
Just
about
gotta
you
find
and
a perfect
everything.
medium.
What?
You
do you
gotta
say?
find a perfect medium of
Yeah.
fame, you know, a popularity
yeah.
without becoming a celebrity. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of game developers, I think, that fill that medium, because while game development, there's tons of people like John Romero's, John Carmack's, etc. Still, somehow, video games are not. Video games have become more of the norm, but video game developers are not really of the norm.
Of
Like,
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
most of your average person who is not like a YouTuber, someone who's like in any form of the industry, like actually paying attention to anything, probably couldn't even name a single person or studio that makes anything. I mean, there's still people out there who say that Bethesda made Dishonored and stuff like that. So it's like, it's just there's wild stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
It is also
Anyway.
true that it is a self-inflicted problem, though. You watch the Game Awards.
yes.
Do you see game celebrities there? You don't. You see Hollywood celebrities.
Yeah.
How?
Where's the
you don't
John
give-
Romero's? Huh?
Exactly.
Where's
Where's
all these other people?
Platform. You don't
Yeah.
give game developers their own, like even composers, voiceover artists, etc. If you don't give them the platform to be seen, then you're never going to have celebrities within your particular, within the video game. If you're just going to keep hijacking celebrities from other forms of medium, And side note, we found our perfect medium, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you can only, really count on them to be there at midnight, but
Nah,
Yeah.
nah.
when the
Anyway.
party starts.
All right. If you could, nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. What or who are you always willing to make time for?
My game projects and my girlfriend.
Yes.
Great answer. That way she
Perfect,
won't beat
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Of course. Just slap your glasses up.
He says something else and out of nowhere,
Yeah.
glasses go
Or you can
flying.
hear in the background, it's like, I would domestic violence all up and down your face.
Okay.
Damn, he just went straight to the south of America real quick for that one. Okay.
What? That was South America.
I
was
just
it?
go all up and down all over your face. Somebody's been
That
watching a
was
little too
the
much
intention.
King of the Hill. Anyway, if
Now
you
I
could
wanna
have
play
made
it.
a famous,
That.
if you could have made a famous Doom game, why would it have been Doom 3?
Because it has the best shotgun.
What the
I'm sure
hell?
the comments will not go wild on that one.
Yeah. Somebody
It's
said on
not a
Reddit, it's a
divisive
fantastic
opinion at
melee
all.
weapon.
If you don't take our bait, you're a bitch. Get on that.
Oh gosh, gotta love it. Okay. Final question, number 10. What was a situation you thought would be terrible, but you actually enjoyed it?
In retrospect, it was the crunch when I finished episode 1. Like, I was finishing so many, like, 2 levels and a boss and fixing, like, 50 bucks at least at the same time in, like, a month or 2, at the same time communicating with the publisher and the composer. And I burned out so hard. I actually... I had to go to the doctor about it, and it was
really?
pretty bad. I suffered for it like for at least a year after that, but I wouldn't change it. Like it was such a good like learning process. I feel I grew up a lot after that.
I'm really glad that you're feeling better and like
Yeah.
you've moved on past that. I mean, I feel like that's something that happens a lot with game developers and a lot of different creative endeavors that people, between crunch and trying to make the thing that you're making, and then you're worrying about if it's going to succeed or if it's going to sell or if it's going to do well, or are you doing the right things? And, most people who crunch on games and stuff, usually by the end, they say, even though it was extremely tough and, hard undertaking, usually they come out of it saying that they're, they wouldn't do anything differently. They wouldn't have done, because, if it wasn't for working so hard, even if they had to sacrifice other things, it wouldn't have got where it was, which then allowed them so much more freedom from that point onward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a test if you're ready to make an actual like marketed full game. If you can go through that.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was our 10 questions. You did beautifully.
Nice.
Fantastic. Yeah. Side question. So, Medium, what were you going to say?
Side question. Number 11.
Oh, it just reminded me of something I've heard for content creators in general, and it applies kind of across the board, is it isn't like just do whatever you want to do when you're making your thing and you're trying to get big. Make every project as if you have like your goal already. Like, so when it happens, you're ready. Don't presume that you'll catch up eventually. Like you don't marry somebody and hope they get better, after they get married. Like if we put a ring on it, they'll suddenly change and become better people because we put up like a force field from wrongdoing. Like get yourself in the mindset that you're all about 30,000 subscribers, 100,000, a million or whatever, and then make content as if you feel like you're doing something that a million people would be impressed by, that kind of thing, or that is worthy of that kind of a following. And you'll not only attract it, but you'll also, you know, when the celebrity hits you or whatever, if it does, that kind of thing, you're not sitting there going, oh, my, what do I do? What do I change? You're not all self-conscious all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think the confidence for that is key, and that both having confidence in your ability to do those things and your ability to create whatever it is that you want to create, and just, you know, giving yourself time and understanding that, you know, as long as you're open-minded and willing to improve, and no matter what your creative endeavor is, you know, you will reach your goals as long as you, you know, have these, whatever your goal may be, as long as you have a goal and you actually improve and go forward and keep moving up, that's what counts, you know. And that's what you're saying is like, you know, don't sit there and just because I'm being consistent, but I'm making the same thing over and over and I've never improved even a single inch, that one day it's just going to like change. You're going to just be a millionaire overnight kind of thing, because that's not how it works. You know, you got to put the work in, you got to improve, even if it's incremental. You know, I mean, you could improve every few days, for a few weeks, months, years. I mean, it takes time sometimes, but as long as you're improving, you know, eventually it will, in my opinion, I believe, you know, it'll be worth something, you know, even just the journey itself.
Yeah.
And I think all creative. Sorry, no, please continue.
Yeah. for me, like when I started Incision, I wasn't like focusing so much on the improvement. It just happens naturally. Like after releasing stuff, I just realized like, holy shit, this is so much better than the old stuff. And like, I didn't practice or take any lessons or test too much stuff. It just sort of happens, and it's kind of nuts. I'm interested in seeing like, does it happen in the next project, or does it get more like professional next time?
Right. I feel like it's like the subconscious inspiration, the subconscious effect of other things around you. As time goes on and you're creating a game, YouTube videos, whatever, you know, I think as long as you're open and you're doing what you want to do, you're going to subconsciously improve, and, you know, each thing you make is going to be better than the last. So I guarantee, you know, the next game you make will be twice as good as the one that you currently have. You know what I mean? Like videos I made 6 months ago, almost night and day, don't even look the same, sound the same, or feel the same as a video I make right now.
Yeah.
You know, like what Medium makes now and what he made a year ago is night and day. You know, I mean, like that's just how it goes. That's just how it is.
Isn't that true of all creative people, though? That you're always looking to improve yourself and bring in the new ideas, that you're even this podcast, of course, it's completely different to what it was a year ago. And the same is true of all of us. I remember thinking, we had the Sprawl devs on a while ago, and one of the devs said that, apologies, but I've forgotten which dev, if it was Carlos or Hannah, said that they viewed Sprawl as being like their first game, their beginner's game. It was the one that like they were learning on. They didn't see it as the apex of what they'd achieved.
Right.
They saw it as what they had done right now on the way to something else that was greater. No, I think Sprawl is an absolutely brilliant game. So for me, that response, hearing it from a dev, was like, really? Because to me, you've already hit that apex, you know? So it was very surprising to hear from an actual person that makes games, that what you're making right now, and SmoothBrain, I don't know if you feel the same. Do you feel that Incision is the apex of what you can create at this moment, or do you see it as being something on the way to creating the game that you feel would define you?
No, I don't feel it as my apex. It's exactly like just I can't think of any good words for it, but like stepping stone is an ugly word for it, but like it's just I've been accumulating a lot of skills making it, and I feel like I could make a much better game now if I started from the beginning again.
Of course,
and I'm just waiting to start a new project properly so I can actually see how it goes.
And I think that goes with all creative endeavors, right? I mean, it's just like life. It's a journey, and life does have an inevitable end, but you're gonna take these journeys, and I mean, there's a song that I forget the name of it. It's a popular song, but it always says like things could always be better, and I hate that as a mindset. I think that's a terrible mindset that things could always be better because you never appreciate where you're at. You always want to appreciate where you're at and where you came from, while knowing that you can make things better. Things could potentially be better if you just keep on the same track, but you gotta be able to stop for a second, appreciate what you've achieved to be able to have those better things. You know what I mean? Like it's a process, and I think that goes with everything. You know, you're on a journey, and thinking that whatever you're doing now is the best you'll ever do. That's one of the worst things you could ever possibly believe in your life.
Yeah,
because that'll get you stuck right where you are for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you'll never improve on anything if you think that you've achieved what it is in life that you set out to achieve. You did say though, that you're working on another game. I don't know if you mentioned it in the last episode that you appeared on as well. I do get deja vu when I think of asking you, is it like is your follow-up game, is it like a violent game, or are you making something completely different to Incision?
Animal Crossing.
Well, I can tell you there's two projects. One is Incision 2, basically, so it will be violent, but it will not be a boomer shooter at all. It's going to be a horror game. I don't know if it's going to be third or first person, but like I've been working slowly on it, mainly just visuals, because I wanna get the visual style before I make any gameplay for it. Just testing more like modern stuff, and the other is a beat 'em up, but it will be violent as well, but more like
beat 'em up.
Beat 'em up. I'm down.
It's actually my dream.
I love me
project.
some beat 'em ups. Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
I love some beat 'em ups, man. They just released a Power Rangers game I need to play.
Oh yeah,
really?
Rita's Rewind. It looks so good. It looks so good.
Dude, I
Reminds
was
me,
fanatic when I was younger. Had a 300-page.
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, same.
Almost every one of those.
That was it that the Power Rangers the movie with the Mr. Ooze or Ivan Ooze or whatever the hell it was.
Ivan Ooze, yeah. Back when 19.
Dude, I watched that thing on VHS so many times. I'm surprised that thing didn't quit working. But yeah, I love me some beat 'em ups.
Wear it out, yeah.
Yeah.
But a beat 'em up sounds absolutely fantastic. You mean something completely like set apart from the world of Incision, its own beat 'em up with its own storyline.
Yeah,
nice. I would imagine that you would come up with something.
Is it
like
gonna be
Killer
violent?
Instinct.
Is it gonna be like Mother Russia Bleeds?
No, not like that, but there will be blood, and it's going to be like an arcade game, but I have been planning a long story mode for it as well, because I love its characters, and it's like it's a bit cartoony, very like B-style, anime style, but not. It's hard to say, like I can't make anime style in 3D, so it's just like sculpted cartoony characters, big Japanese Onis basically living in an underground city, and it gets invaded by like sea monsters, like Lovecraftian stuff, and really weird stuff.
Sounds awesome. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already in. I just
it's something.
Have fight sticks support though. Have fight sticks.
The more
so
you talk,
you
the more I'm falling in love.
On it. Yeah.
I can really hear everyone. But like I haven't like worked too much on it, but I have been making this like a frame data system that's completely new for me. So it basically feels like a fighting game. I can make like fighting game movesets for it, and I've been prototyping some moves. I've posted a few like short video clips on my Twitter actually, but I don't know if you've seen it. Like
I haven't seen it.
That's something I would have taken note of. Yeah,
you can go check them out. Basically, like a lady with 2 guns shooting some weird undead monster, just like in a test room. but yeah, I'm really happy about the project, how it's going, and it's something that I actually started like 10 years ago, like imagining it, dreaming about it. So now it feels like it's finally becoming something tangible, something real.
Well, I hope that the success of Incision gives you the freedom as a developer to do the projects that you want to do, so you can experiment with different genres and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Which,
actually the scary part. Like, Incision's really like it's selling well, it's making me money, but I actually have to go through all the, like, how do you say it, like becoming popular with that game again. Like, if I make Incision 2, people know Incision and they will most likely like, there's more chance that people will buy it. But if the Incision dude suddenly makes a beat 'em up game, are people going to buy it?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true, that's
So he's gonna get him to start appearing in Super Smash Brothers and that sort of stuff, you know. Some cross appeal to get in some of that extra marketing and stuff. But I would totally be down. I wanted, and it's never going to be possible because of different game engines. I always wanted like a beat 'em up with all boomer shooter characters, and like you'd have the GZ Din characters, so like the lady from Supplice, the lady from Beyond Sunset, Shelley Harrison from Ion Fury, and who's the from Sulaco, Dawn from Sulaco, just as an example of, you know, different characters that can go into a shooting game. There's too many licensing problems for something like that to ever become a reality, of course, but it, you know, a man can sit back and dream of Duke Nukem and Doom Guy, you know, smacking each other up. Maybe one day it will happen.
Well, I mean, Doom Guy is in Fortnite, so we got that, huh?
Oh, come on, dude. Fortnite, for the love of God. I'm in a proper
And
game.
so is Master Chief as well, which they actually, here's a funny thing, since it actually is FPS related, they actually added a mode to Fortnite that is an actual first person shooter, like deathmatch game, and I'm oddly really interested in it. Like, I used to play a lot of Fortnite in the past, like a lot. And it was different when it began versus what it is now. But like that first person mode actually looked very interesting because it looks like they actually put a lot of work into like the animations and stuff for the weapons and things like that, which I think is cool. I mean, it's Epic Games, so I mean, that's their bread and butter. So if they're doing that with that, I mean, that's just a cool idea in my opinion. It might get some people playing it that, you know, wouldn't play it otherwise.
It's the first stepping stone, hopefully, to getting Unreal back. If they can see the potential in the first person. I saw Dr. Disrespect streaming some of it, and the first person's perspective on Fortnite, I couldn't figure out if it reminded me more of Valorant or of Overwatch. It kind of had that, you know, uber hyper-realistic sort of, not hyper-realistic, a cartoony sort of feel to it, but you can't place what genre it is. You can't say, oh, it's anime or something like that. So
that's just kind of like Fortnite's interesting art style that it's always had. Generic, that gives you that vibe.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. You know, but yeah. Well, you know, before we move on to something, I was going to say, I think Epic's mindset is much like Valve, where they're at the point where what they do is something that they want it to be something that pushes the needle in some direction, right? Like because that's Valve, right? Like the reason Episode 3 doesn't exist isn't because they couldn't have released it. It's just because they didn't think that it would push the needle, so they just scrapped it. I mean, that new documentary confirms that. You know, but that's why Alex was the next thing. But it's like, are they gonna make another VR game? Probably not, because like they're not gonna do anything different with the next VR game. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not going to do anything different. Like, there's nothing at the current moment that they could do differently, so it's not going to push the needle. So what they do next is going to have to be something game changing for them to actually want to make it. And I think the same is with Epic. I mean, they've done a lot of crazy different things with their game that kind of pushes what live service is as a whole, like what it can be and what its potential is in a lot of different areas, whereas everybody else that's doing live service is kind of just like trying to make as much money as possible, which Fortnite is doing as well, but like they're also doing interesting other things that are kind of changing a lot of aspects of what games are capable of, right? And so I think that they're looking for something to push the needle if they're ever going to release another like true title. And you know, I think that's why they went into publishing, you know. They took the foot off the gas on
Half-Life 3, I remember, because they said that they didn't have nearly enough of the motion control, or whatever we want to call it. So, I mean, at the time, we didn't know they were talking about VR. But I think it's pretty clear that's probably what they were angling towards. Because you're just like, well, your physics system's already really good. Why are you complaining that you don't have enough control and enough creativity possible? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Game.
Do you guys think that if Half-Life 3 was released as a VR game, that there would be an uproar about it, or would people just accept that Half-Life 3 is finally here? I need to get a VR headset.
People would accept it and buy a VR headset because, well, they would bitch about it, right? A lot of people would bitch about it, but I think anybody who's a fan of Half-Life would probably just say, hey, I'm going to get VR because, I mean, for one, you can buy an Oculus 3 for a reasonable price or an Oculus 3S for a reasonable price, and you can connect that to your computer and play Half-Life Alyx if you want. As long as your computer can run the game, you can play it. They even have a mod now where you can play Half-Life Alyx without VR, which I've heard is like a buggy fucking mess. It's a buggy mess, though, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think if they did, which I don't think they will, then yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to bitch just like they did with Alyx. But anybody who actually genuinely wants to play it and is not just somebody who's just bitching that a game's on VR because they don't have VR, those people are going to go buy it if they don't already have VR. But being that Alyx is such a success and it's probably like currently the pinnacle of what VR gaming can be, only rivaled by games like Metro Awakening, Arkham Shadow, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, and stuff like that, I think that they set a standard for others to meet, and then now they're going to move on to other things. You know, maybe the next thing that Valve does is AR, augmented reality. Maybe the next thing they do is, I don't know, maybe they rework Source Engine and just make like a fucking bomb-ass game that rivals something on Unreal 5. I don't know, but it's going to be something that pushes the needle, and it might be 10 more years, so who knows.
I'd like to see him go back and make episode 3, but make it in the old Source Engine, so it looks like it was a direct continuation. But SmoothBrain, would you ever make a VR version of Incision?
I have thought about that because I was prototyping some weird stuff just for fun, and I did put an enemy and a revolver in there, and it felt kind of nice, and thought like, yeah, I could make an Incision VR, maybe. Like, I have the skills, but I just need the time and the interest.
The only well-known, like, boomer shooter-ish, not really, it's a hack and slash game, but like a Medieval is the only, like, well-known boomer shooter community game that actually made the jump to VR. But outside of that, there actually are a few cool actual real boomer shooter like games on VR.
Was it Doom, Serious Sam? Doom.
Those aren't really boomer shooters because they're just standing horde games. Like, except for Doom, that doesn't really count either. But
there is Serious Sam 1 to 3 is in VR, and you can move.
Oh, are they? Okay. Yeah. Well, there was the other one. It was like it was called Final Stand or something, and that was like a stationary kind of thing. But there's one called Shock Trooper, which is like a boomer shooter, like Doom-esque game. Then there's one called Arcade, and it's also a really cool like boomer shooter type game. Definitely check both those out if you play VR.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
The competition was for a code, a key to BioCrysis, a House of the Dead, if it was on Atari-esque game. Normally, if anyone wants to check it out, it's like $3. Jim, I can't remember his last name, is the developer, and he's a really cool guy. I ran across BioCrysis just searching through Steam. I actually saw that Medium had it on his wish list. I checked it out, bought it from Medium for his birthday, and then I played it. I was like, this is really cool. Then I saw there was a demo for their second game. I played that, even better. Then I contacted the developer and was telling him about it. I was like, would you want me to give away any keys, blah, blah, blah. And then like he sent me some keys to give away. So I was going to do BioCrysis giveaway for a different thing, but I changed my mind. So I decided we'd do this competition for quad damage. And so giving away this key for BioCrysis, which if you're in that kind of thing, cool, it's a really cool, interesting, fun little game if you like to get high scores. Doesn't take a lot of time. Anyway, so the competition winner is at Martin Mercenary. via Twitter.
Yeah.
So we will be sending you a DM
Congrats.
ASAP for BioCrisis. Congratulations on winning the key, and I hope you enjoy your time in the lab.
And you play the crap out of it. Deadforge. I was just looking at BioCrisis Steam just to get Jim's. It's literally developed by Jim and published by Jim.
Yeah. You can find him. I mean, you probably just search up. Let's see. Actually, he has. Out of money. Okay, he has a Twitter. So if you wanna check him out, we can also tag him in the podcast as well as the anything else. Yeah. But
nice.
It's at JM Jennison. Yeah. JM Jennison. Yeah, Jim something Jennison. Yeah. On Twitter.
Congratulations for winning the game key. I will contact you first thing tomorrow morning. So hopefully you'll see that message when you wake up. But speaking of games, SmoothBrain, what is your game of the year for 2024?
Whoa, what is it? I immediately open my Steam so I can remind myself. Silent Hill 2 remake. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is what Mel said last week.
Yeah, I played through it 4 times and it doesn't get worse. Like it's just so good.
4 times.
It doesn't get worse. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, that is a super fan.
And like I acknowledge that it has some problems, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it's so good anyway. Like how the story has been remade and everything. So loyal to the old.
It's on my list for 2025 because I think it's coming out to Xbox in 2025. So I want to play it there.
I think most of Bloober Team's games have hit the Xbox platform, right? I know.
Yeah, they did like a temporary exclusivity to PlayStation and PC, which is the same thing that's happening with Indiana Jones. For anybody wondering, it'll be out on PS5 next year.
Yeah. Sorry, Medium. I didn't hear what you said then. What was that?
I think I was just agreeing with you that nothing they've made except this remake has ever been gated behind a console like that, or exclusive to any platform, as far as I know.
They do have a.
Is Layers of Fear on console or is that PC?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever.
It's on Xbox, PlayStation, and VR, by the way.
Ooh, I shall try it.
It actually is though. I'm actually very curious to try it on VR. Oh, they are great. Yeah, there's a really cool one on there that I want to get, but yeah. I was also gonna say, what's your most anticipated game of 2025 as well?
Is the new Doom coming next year?
New Doom?
Yeah, it says the Dark Ages. Yeah.
Dark Ages is gonna be good for sure.
Yeah, I don't have much like expectation for it, but like I don't expect that many games anyway. So new Doom is new Doom. It's great. It's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, Doom is Doom, and Doom's fucking awesome. So
yeah.
I can gonna slap harder than your mom's slipper.
Yeah, I was also gonna do. I want to do this little before we get to our other stuff, but just for each individual, we'll start with medium, and just everyone, just a shout out to a game that you're currently playing and enjoying that maybe is your favorite thing you're playing right now, or if it's your favorite thing of the year, whichever one you want to go for. Let's start with medium.
Yeah, let's see. I'm playing a lot of things right now. I don't know if any of them are like worthy of the spotlight, but we'll go through a couple I think are all right. For one thing, I struggled in vain to play this up until like the second to last level. This is one of the hardest fucking things
The Shining.
to put in front of you. This will ruin your life.
Yeah.
What about the remaster?
I just played the remaster, and the remaster is almost so much smoother that it's like half the time it'll take you to get to the end. So it took me about 5 or 6 days to get through the original up to like the second to last level and just couldn't do it. Like I was soft locked. Then the remaster comes along and I beat that in about 2 or 3 days. It just like would not stop me. Now granted, I had practice on every one of these checkpoints, so I knew what I was doing because I did them all about 80 times. But that was a pretty good remaster. It's about as well as you can do that to kind of true up every problem that the original had. And the original has countless problems overshadowing the potential, which is unfortunate. And and not the one everyone complains about, the whole like where people turn, like the blood test doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can go through that entire game, never blood test anybody, and it won't matter. The fact that it came up and was a problem is actually not game changing. The real problem is like the flamethrowers hurting you more than they hurt the enemies, because as soon as it hits, it lights every particle around you, like the floor, you, the enemy that you just hit that's now running into you with the fire on them, and you're just like, it's just like countless.
Yeah, I heard that was an issue.
Does a great job at that. Space Marine 2 is pretty good. I don't think it's enough better than the original one, but that's a pretty fun little game. Was this just games we were playing right now, or just like for the year total?
I mean, whichever. It doesn't matter. Whichever. It's one, like, just games you're playing, games you're enjoying. Whatever.
Alone in the Dark 2024. Go play it. Nobody did, and we'll never hear from that studio again because Embracer's a bunch of fucking assholes. But you need to play it because you owe it to yourself to have more fun than you would otherwise.
Yeah,
it's definitely a game that I still need to play, and I think it probably deserves the time and attention because it's closer to what Alone in the Dark is than anything that we've had in a long time. So
it's just a try.
All right, so on to Plus, I like David Harbour too, so that's cool that he's in there.
Yeah, he's always watching. Yeah,
he's always watching. Yeah. All right, on to Robert then. Just a favorite game of the year, or whatever you want us to go for.
Does it have to be released in this year, or just I've played it this year?
Just you've played it this year. It doesn't matter.
Oh, bloody hell. I've made a strong effort to clear my Steam backlog. So there's a lot of games that I've played this year that were released in previous
pick one
year.
Okay, well, then if you want to narrow it down to this year, that's fine. Just pick one that you just really love, or you want some honorable mentions, whatever.
It's going to be a tie. I can't. It'll either be Sulaco or Trepang 2. Both of the games were just completely head and shoulders above, other examples of the genre. I've played
still played
other
neither,
games.
which is.
I have played other, like right now. I've beaten both of those games, and I'm working my way through Dread Templar. Yep. I think I'm on episode 4 or something like that. And I was speaking with Trav on Discord about it because he made an 1.5-hour video on it, talking about how great it was, and Kurt made videos. I just thought that it was mid. I love how beautiful it looks, how incredible it. Just it's not vibing with me on a level that I was expecting. Whereas something like Sulaco and Trepang, I'm counting down the time, waiting until work finishes so I can get back to it. And it just I thought they were off the charts brilliant.
Both of those games, or just Sulaco?
Both of those games. A lot of people, they say, "Oh, don't worry about the storyline for Trepang or something." No, worry about the storyline. Somebody spent a lot of time writing that. It is a damn good storyline, and I think that the YouTuber is called Point Kid or something like that. Made a 2-hour video on the storyline for Trepang 2. Really in depth.
The big breakdown kind of thing.
Yeah, it's shocking how in depth it is. But you're not going to beat Sulaco in terms of if you ask a dozen people, what's your favorite? Sulaco would be probably the first one that people say, because it's just there's Sulaco and there's everything else, in terms of objectively good. Anything else is your own personal preference.
Gotcha. All right, on to SmoothBrain. What's your number one game of the year, or we kind of already asked you that, but what are some fun things you've been playing, I guess?
Well, Ting Remastered was already mentioned, so I don't know if I should mention it again. I just finished it. Yeah. A remaster is great, but on a technical level, but they made it so easy. I finished it in 2 days, and it's just I put it on the hardest mode and didn't see any difference at all. It just
it is really
kind of laughable.
The turrets don't do any damage. Fire, of course, does no damage now, which is a huge problem. So
and I'm going through my Steam to see if I play much of anything, but when I'm bored, I play Shadow Warrior, the classic Shadow Warrior, and then Quake 2. I just love those games to bits. Like Shadow Warrior is something that never gets boring for me. Like the humor and the world and the music and everything.
God, the music is so good.
With games of that era, I don't think that they've aged. Even if the humor ages, because they're so art style based, they don't age. Go along with the graphics. You know, it is brilliant.
It
Cool.
is. Yeah.
Nice.
You know, so I guess it comes around to me then. I would say that like the number one, I guess, kind of game that is potentially, and by the end of the year, I'll have pretty much figured this one out, but it's potentially my game of the year. And it's weird because it's a VR game, and I didn't think I would be saying that, but it's Metro Awakening. It's so good. Like if I wish I had a Quest 3 because it would look even better, but even on the Quest 2, which is what I have, it still looks good enough in my opinion. It is so horrifying. It's so intense, but so Metro, and the story is great. The voice acting is great. It's such a really, really good, like, you know, linear story experience. And I couldn't count the amount of times that like those, like, I can't remember what they're called. Like this, I think they're called the stalkers or something. And they're like running at you and stuff. And I'm over here like reloading my pistol, and then I drop the clip, and I'm like, fuck. And then I do this. I ran out of ammo at one point. I took the clip and I just like threw it at the enemy, and then I was like trying to beat him over the head with a pistol. And I was like, oh yeah, I have an assault rifle, and I like reach back and I'm trying to grab it with two hands, and yeah, it's just like you can't. You have some of the funniest moments in VR, so that's one of the coolest things I could say about VR. Is it's just entertaining.
Blade and Sorcery is great
that
too.
straight up-
It's
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
pure
yeah.
comedy.
So
What was that, Media?
Is it a
Was that-
straight up port of Exodus, or is that like a totally different?
No. Metro Awakening is 100% its own game. It is ground up its own game, written by what was his name? I forget.
Ada?
I forget the writer's name for Metro. Anyway,
Dimitri something.
yeah, Dmitry Glukovsky.
No. So yeah, something.
Was it the actual guy that made the book?
Glukowski.
Yeah. He also wrote
Really
every
check.
single one of. Yeah, he also wrote every single one of the games too. So
So it is. I assume then, if it's written by him, that it's canon. Kind of like how
It
the
is canon.
VR Batman game that just got released
It's-
is
yeah,
part
it's
of the
also canon.
Arkham series.
yeah.
Nice.
Glukovsky.
Oh, he's got the
yeah,
book.
Pretty close.
Lukovsky, right?
That's gonna be
Yeah,
backwards. That won't
Dmitry
look good all, but you can imagine it. And
Yeah. Yeah, I also have I actually like the books as well. I have all
Yeah.
three of them as well. I saw there was a spin-off book as also. But yeah, anyway, it's actually a character. I'm not gonna spoil who, but it's a character that's in the previous Metro games. But it's actually taking place before Metro 2033. So it's a prequel to the whole series. It's really good. It's really interesting, a lot of fun, and yeah, and it's one of those games that's like it's really close to like Alex quality. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the few things that are like that close.
It's
definitely worth a shot.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I was actually really excited when Metro Awakening was on the list for like VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and then Arkham Shadow brought home the award, which I thought was well deserved because that game also looks absolutely fantastic. So you know but it was cool to see that it was there. Yeah, that's possibly like my game of the year, crazily enough. But some like kind of honorable mentions, you know, I would say, you know, Bears in Space is such a good one. I've actually been jumping back into that. Such a good game. You know, I've been seeing some other people talking about having it as their game of the year and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a really good
big
one,
fan
and
as well.
a bunch of awesome Australian dudes that made it. They're great guys. I love all of them. They're all great. And I Am Your Beast, which I recently started playing. I've been playing, is a really cool one by the same person who did El Paso Elsewhere, El Paso Nightmare. And it's like it's kind of Angerfoot or like Hotline Miami adjacent. You're playing these levels individually, and in the level you're basically trying to like do it as fast as possible. Sometimes you have to do certain things to be able to get to the next level, but not always. And so you'll go up and you'll like shoot this dude in the head, then you'll pick up his pistol and you can like run you out of ammo. You throw the pistol at the dude's face, and then you like grab another thing, and it's really fun. You shoot things in the environment, and in between you have these little cutscenes that are like just words popping up, but there's different voice actors, and it's basically you're basically playing John Rambo. You're you're an ex-military, like Secret Service guy who decided to live in the woods by himself, and then they sent people to come find you for one last job. You told the guy to shove it up his ass, and then they keep sending people, and you keep killing people, and that's kind of the plot, you know. And it's super entertaining. You can jump down on top of people, kick them in the head, and like, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It really is.
Nice.
And yeah, that's a really good one. And then my other honorable mention is a funny one that I just started playing a couple days ago, and it's actually Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. We were just talking about Arkham stuff.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna wear
the
this
reason
as
I put
part
it for honorable mention is because it's not like even remotely close to my game of the year, but
if you
it
enjoy
feels
it, you enjoy
like
it.
it should be illegal how much fun that I'm having in the game. Like I'm having way too much fun. That it just doesn't feel right because everybody absolutely hates the game with a burning passion from every direction. But it's such a like the best way I can explain it, right, is if you like old school superhero games like Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Prototype, Infamous, Destroy All Humans, Crackdown, Sunset Overdrive, Agents of Mayhem, anything like that, this game is for you. If you are looking for an Arkham experience, this game is not for you. You know what I mean? And that's not, I don't give a shit about all the bullshit live service stuff. All those things I have no interaction with whatsoever because I'm playing the offline mode that they officially put in the game since this is their final season or whatever. And then the game's like they're done with it, moving on to the next project. So they pulled a Redfall and they're like, actually, it's actually probably a better idea if we make the game playable after we shut down the servers. Who would have thought, Maybe we should have just made it a normal game. Maybe we should have just made it a normal game versus pretending it was a live service game.
Yeah,
I think they probably realize that.
Do what?
Take a screenshot of what their current player count is now. I'll put this clip out as a highlight and tag in Rocksteady. If they retweet it, well, let's see if it actually affects things. But gentlemen,
I'm one of those people, man. I don't give two flying fucks about like player count. Fuck player count. That game is a single player game with optional co-op at its heart.
Yeah.
Live service was a tacked on bullshit tactic, which funny enough, I did some digging and found out was actually the original director of all the Arkham Batman games. That was his idea from the start to put that stuff in there. I found this out in research, right? It was his idea, and then he bailed after they delayed it a couple times. He bailed in 2021 or 2022, he bailed and they made another studio, and then he's like, yeah, man, that wasn't me. And then, but you can go back and like they have documents and stuff of him.
He pulled
like,
the pen through the grenade and then was like, "Why did you guys blow everything up? What the fuck?
What the hell's wrong with you guys? What are you making over here?" He's like, and he also helped write the entire game, and it was everything he wrote was still in the game too.
So it wasn't like
yeah.
You had no idea who said
what.
what.
Share the blame.
I don't even know who the other guys are. But either way, like no matter what, people are. I will say this: there's a lot of out of context information used to shed the game in a harsh light. A lot of out of context cutscenes and moments within the game that are used to hurt the game's reputation, that once you play the game and see every single one of those choice things that they use in context are so blown out of proportion that it's not even funny. So if you ever want to check it out, even if it's on a sale, just go check it out if you think you're interested in the games that I mentioned.
Oh, I'm sure it's on sale.
I think it's worth playing.
It was like $4.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Actually, saw they had it on sale for like $3 a while back. So yeah, they definitely have it on sale.
In winding down the episode,
I have something for you.
You ever been in the right place but wearing the wrong thing? Ain't ever gonna happen again, brother, because you can now buy the sexiest apparel this side of a John Romero hair products line. Visit the Quad Damage Amazon merch store and get that shiz delivered on Prime.
Damn.
you're gonna look good.
Was Silent Hill's Otherworld actually an inspiration for the design of Incision, or is that coincidental? And it was literally the first thing that we talked about in this episode.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of the Quad Damage Podcast with our esteemed returning guest, SmoothBrainDev of Incision fame, or infamy. And yeah, so we're going to sign off real quick so you can get back to what you were doing, even though it's such sweet sorrow to part from you. I'm Midnight Medium. You can find me on the Twatters at A Midnight Medium, on the YouTubes at Midnight Medium. Surprise, surprise. And if you feel like setting some money on fire, you can find me on Patreon at Midnight Medium. Deadforge, where can they find you?
Of course, you can find me Deadforge on YouTube, Deadforge on X, and Deadforge on Patreon. Oh, actually, that's not true. It is at Lord of the RPG on X. It's Deadforge at Lord of the RPG. I'm pretty sure you can't find me. Well, you might be able to find me just typing in Deadforge. I'm not 100% on that. But type in Deadforge on YouTube. I am the first thing that pops up, baby. So aside from that, Deadforge on Patreon. If you want to throw me $1 and see what's going to be happening for the rest of this year, which is there's not a lot of time, but there's some things happening. Don't you worry. And possibly what's going to happen really early on in 2025. Also, a lot of really cool things happening. Some special appearances by some people you haven't seen in a minute. Some really cool videos, and we're going to start with a bang. So that's it for me.
Starting 2025 rights, yeah. I gotta say though, I think Lord of the RPG is a really cool title, and you should use it more often.
Well, I did for a very long time. It was my YouTube channel before Deadforge. It all began a long time ago when it actually still exists, but the Gaming Bounty Board wasn't always a podcast. Before that, it was a Facebook page, and my handle was Lord of the RPG because a bunch of my friends joined me, and we all did that. It was actually a Fallout 4 news thing on lead up to Fallout 4, and then it changed to Gaming Bounty Board. And that's where the handle was, and that was my thing for a long time. And then Medium helped me come up with Deadforge when I was wanting to rebrand.
Yeah, Deadforge is also a cool name. Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, and me. Yeah.
Yeah. Point us to where we need to go.
So I can be found on Twitter at RobertYapp80. You can also find me on Twitter or X with the Quad Dam Podcast. You can also find the Quad Damage Podcast on Reddit as well at Quad Damage Podcast. And we have joined Blue Sky. So I'm on Blue Sky now. If you guys want to check out, I'm the one that's doing the chatting over there.
I'm actually kind of curious. How is Blue Sky, by the way? Just how is it so far as
It's nicer, but it's
activity.
because the audience, I've restricted the audience a lot more. So you're kind of only surrounding yourself with good people on there. People, it doesn't get the engagement that Twitter does, but the conversations are nicer. The only things I don't like is that you can't schedule things on there. So if you see something on Blue Sky, it's because I've posted it in that moment. I can't create work and then schedule it a week in advance.
Can you do that on X?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You schedule posts ahead of time? Oh.
Yeah. They used to do it on something called TweetDeck, and they put that behind a paywall. But when you log on your X desktop or something, there's an option there, schedule. And on Blue Sky, you can't post any video longer than a minute, so I can't post our highlights on there, unfortunately. But definitely go find us over there. Buy our merchandise. Merchandise links are in the description. Visit our affiliate store. Affiliate store link is in the description. Join our memberships for behind-the-scenes footage and all bits and bobs like that. Memberships are now live.
You've been warned.
Oh yeah.
I mean, instead of a
what?
And what's up with all these damn industry layoffs? We need to fucking get to the bottom of this shit.
I'm too busy to think about that shit.
As long as money talks and shareholders exist, then those shareholders will always come before the devs. They'll always come before the customers. and decisions
Yep.
were made based upon what benefits them.
That is the sad reality of the
it's-
current AAA
It is,
issue
yes.
we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
You
that's
think
how
that any of
it's-
the-
that's how it operates, but it's not really why. The reason they're even
Yeah.
there is because gaming has become a victim of its own success. It's become too successful not to sit there and just make untold amounts of money. That's the problem. Is they're incentivized to. It's just there's too much money to be made. I mean, those people do that anywhere they go. It's just that gaming got to the point where it was not in the best interest of the investors that now are being courted to not do that with everything. That doesn't mean it's right to do. And they could obviously, like every other company under God's green earth, just make less and make a better product and give more of it, spread it down from the top. And then you don't have to be some big commie to do that. You can just do that. It's really just like, at a certain point, I don't actually need this much to live. I can live luxuriously on 10 million, not 20, 50, 60 million, etc.
Yeah. You'd think that if a company is in profit, it would never have to cut any jobs, but that is not the case. If a game doesn't make as much as they decide an arbitrary number that it should be making, if it hasn't hit that, then the first people that they cut are the very people that actually make the game for you. No studio executive out there is taking a cut on there. You got thousands of people leaving their jobs, forced to leave in redundancy, and you got executives pulling in multi-million-dollar bonuses. No executive is like saying, "Yeah, guys, I understand. I'm the one in charge. I'll cover your redundancy out of my own pocket." That's what a good leader would do, though. But that's not the world we live in.
Yeah. I don't
Yes.
think about this stuff so much because ever since I've dreamt about making games, I've never wanted to work in any company ever because what's the fun in making somebody else's ideas? Like, of course, I feel bad for those who's laid off, of course, but like when I hear about the gaming industry, it always just feels like bad news after bad news. I can't remember the last time when I heard the good news about gaming industry. The last small good news was where that Gabe Newell finally mentioned Half-Life Episode 3. so like before that, can't name any good news.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hopefully you're going to bring some good news when Incision Episode 3 releases and it hits its 1.0 release, and then suddenly you've got that whole marketing cycle that you're going through and everyone's covering Incision again and we're all happy and shit. Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. Waiting to finally finish this thing.
Not only is that good news, I actually meant to talk about this, but do you know like DOSman announced like 3 games today?
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah. He released, what was it, Quartermain, which is like a basically boomer shooter Indiana Jones game. Reverend 2 was announced, and then there was one other, wasn't there? What was the other one? There was one other one that was Satan, yeah. And then of course there's like that game, the game Dead Trash. Dead Trash is coming out as well. That's another game. So like 2025 for DOSman is like insane.
Yeah.
And
SmoothBrain, did
like-
you catch?
Yep.
No, carry on.
No. I was just wondering because I haven't played Dustman's games yet. So, like, are they like small games, short games, like Chop Goblin style? Yeah.
Bite-sized boomer shooters.
Bite-sized boomer shooters.
I need to
30
get
minutes
on.
to an hour and a half max, probably. I think his longest one's Reaper. It's probably about an hour and a half, give or take.
I should make one. Like, can't be that much work. Like a really like trusty DOS game that's just an hour long, but
they all use Easy FPS Editor, which is a pretty cool little engine. I've actually dabbled in it myself, and technically I could release a really shitty game right now if I wanted, but it's not a very good game currently.
How is it compared to
5
Concrete
levels.
Visions?
How it's so much worse.
The game that's trying to be buried at its developers' request, apparently.
Yeah, Sam's like not a big fan of Concrete Visions, even though he made it, but it's his least proud game. But it's okay. Don't worry, Sam. I will review Concrete Visions at some point. I'm working on it.
Nice. All right, gentlemen, let's do the finger thingy and the. God, that sounded so wrong. Let's
No, continue. I'm listening.
let's see ourselves. Let's see ourselves.
Booming.
Yes.
Booming.
Quad damage.